King Godric the Golden, seen for the first time in the announcement trailer more than 2 years ago, and repeatedly featured in promotional material after. Each time we saw him, we learned just a little bit more. Have we learned enough to paint a clear picture? Who is Godric, and what is his role in Elden Ring? Our first glimpse of Godric was brief and mysterious. We saw a scrawny old man with grey hair surrounded by arms lifting up a dismembered arm over his head. It wasn't clear who were the owners of the arms. Could all the arms be his own somehow? From software are no strangers to bizarre abominations with grotesque mutations. If so, then how did he end up with so many arms? Was he born that way? Was he someone's Frankensteinian monster? Or did he do that to himself? Perhaps in search of power and strength. Over time, an impression formed in my mind, one quite similar to a famous mythological figure from ancient Greece, King Midas. In case you aren't familiar with King Midas, I'll briefly explain. King Midas was a king back in ancient Greece who managed to get in the good graces of Dionysus. As a reward, Dionysus offered King Midas a single wish. That wish was the fabled golden touch. Everything King Midas touched turned into gold. But King Midas was quick to regret his wish as he found he could not eat or drink. Everything turned into gold when it touched his lips or teeth. King Midas starved to death. Gold is also a theme present in Godric's character. His title is Godric the Golden, and he is dressed in almost full gold. The first image we saw of Godric made him seem weak to me. Poor posture, thin arms, pale skin, and gray hair. Combined with his seeming obsession with gold, I imagine him fueled by greed, envious and resentful of everyone around him, hungry for power to compensate for his insecurities, his self-worth a bottomless pit which he attempted to fill with violence and suffering. The phrase we hear him say during the June 2021 Elden Ring trailer, "A lowly tarnished, playing as a lord, I command thee kneel," is exactly something I'd expect him to say given my earlier impressions. It feels as if Godric is projecting his insecurities and low self-esteem onto the player character Tarnished. On September 24th, the Elden Ring Twitter posted a phrase referring to Godric the Golden. Born a weakling child, he coveted the strength of his kin. This further strengthened my opinion of him. After the shattering of the Elden Ring, most of the inhabitants of the lands between were left graceless. They were not exiled, however, likely due to the ensuing chaos following the shattering. And Godric is just the type to take advantage. I believe he singled out the strongest of the remaining graceless and assimilated them. He severed their body parts and grafted them onto his own body, believing it would grant him strength and power. In the recent gameplay footage, we saw some of the fight with Godric. In what seemed like phase 2 of the fight, Godric's arm fused with the head of a dead dragon nearby. Godric obtained the ability to spew flames, so perhaps he wasn't entirely misguided in his greed-filled quest. Earlier on, I had imagined the carriages scene in the second Elden Ring trailer were King Godric's. I thought they were the perfect way to feed his lust. He'd send out a group to retrieve new body parts for him, which would then be transported back to him in these coffin carriages. We now know that isn't the case. In the recent 20-minute trailer, we saw these carriages are simply chests for the players to collect. There is a room shown to us both in the June 2021 trailer and in the recent 20-minute gameplay footage. It looks like some sort of butcher's workshop or a storage room. Mutilated limbs and severed body parts can be seen hanging all over the place. It's possible this room is Godric's laboratory, the room where he conducts his foul operations. In that same room, there is a massive painting. This painting is probably quite important to Godric to be placed here in his little special room. It's a regal painting, likely of someone who ruled over Stormveil Castle before Godric did. But why would Godric keep such a painting of some ruler? Unless the ruler himself was dear to him. Perhaps it was his father or a sibling. Along with the previous ruler, the painting depicts a majestic lion. Both of them can also be seen on the steel case of the collector's edition of Elden Ring. A golden lion is also engraved on the front of Godric's massive axe. There may not be enough information to establish exactly what kind of connection is present, but I can imagine Godric overthrowing the previous ruler and stealing their golden axe for himself, probably even grafting their body parts onto himself. The recent 20-minute gameplay footage sheds some more light on Stormveil Castle and its inhabitants. In the castle, we found a sorcerer named Roger. His comment fits quite well with the picture of Godric we have constructed so far. Tarnished hunter, sacrificing our kind for grafting. But Roger is not the only interesting thing we saw in Stormveil Castle. The guards seem to have thorns coming out from under their armor. The thorns are most visible coming out of their sleeves, enveloping their weapons. Could this mean Godric is some sort of mad scientist who has been conducting repugnant experiments, pushing the boundary of sanity? We know that is probably the case, judging by his gruesome appearance. But has he been butchering others' bodies besides his own? I think it would make sense. Godric doesn't strike me as the type to undergo highly experimental and risky procedures himself. Perhaps he perfected his grafting skill by first experimenting on his guards. Perhaps he did not want to waste the tarnished body parts on lowly servants and used thorny plants instead. An alternative possibility could be using the tarnished body parts as fertilizer to grow those thorns. They can be seen being grown all over the castle. It is, as of yet, unclear. But one thing has become quite abundantly clear. Who is Godric the Golden? He is his own Frankensteinian monster. Thanks for watching. I'd like to also mention there will be a game giveaway of Elden Ring until 24th of December. You can find more information about this through my Twitter. This will be a Christmas present to the lucky winner and as thanks for reaching 2,000 subscribers on YouTube. If you want to see more of me, join me at Twitch, where I play games with a lore-oriented perspective. I will also be doing more Elden Ring giveaways there. Until next time.